Good to see you again. Good to be with you. Um, I'm in a new phase of my life, and I'm in some sense modeling myself on the Dalai Lama. If you are chosen as the Dalai Lama, you are automatically the head of four branches of Tibetan Buddhism that have different doctrines and different rituals. And you've got to somehow minister to each of these, regardless of your own references in these matters, uh, or something like that. And so that's my goal right now with different families of the professed followers of Jesus. And I'm trying to be a peacemaker. Uh, I can't help living in the society and noticing this and that. And I I I I read news that's kind of left of center, and I read some news sources that are right of center, and and I try to inform myself sympathetically with the values for which the different camps are giving voice. And it seems to me that there's a real need for peacemaking in this situation. And what I'm talking about specifically at the moment is what I'm going to call the gender wars. Okay, there. I'm not going to say anything more about that, and I will frustrate some people by not taking a stand on some of the disputed issues. But I believe that it's possible with just a little philosophical touch to bring some fresh clarity into this discussion. Because on the one hand, you've got the people that just anchor themselves in the beginning, Elohim, God, it's a plural, is that there is a trinity, a multiple, what's going on? Let us make humankind in our own image. And guess what we got? We got male and female, and it is good. Male and female is good. And now we've got secular society that looks at that good and says, oh, let's do what we want with it. And sometimes this whatever we want gets really out of whack and turns into false freedom, which puts a shaking fist in the defiantly in the face of anything like God or anyone talking about God, or you say the wrong words and you're branded as the enemy. And because you're suggesting that there are higher values than our own, higher than human values, meanings and values and purpose to life that we can recognize. So, but on the one hand, you've got an awful lot of people that are saying, well, look at these trans folks, the da da da, and so on, and isn't it the case that God loves every one of us with an infinite love, and that we all stand spiritually as equals before God? And these are truths. And the truths are associated with position taking where the differences in the ways of thinking and the proportion of emphasis on this value or that are different. Those differences become the occasions for division. Let differences abound, but let us overcome division. And this is my suggestion about how to do it. It by no means solves any hard problems or addresses any, but I think it's an important distinction. If we say that on the one hand, there's the universal spiritual truth that we're all the infinitely loved children of God, brothers and sisters in the universal family. That's the basis for everything. If we've got that in our heart, oh, ancient Greek proverb, well begun, half done. you know, you begin at that starting gate, and you've halfway run the race. Well, there's a lot to do to finish the race. There's a lot to do yet, you know, first base to second base, third base, and all the way home. But you've got a great start. And and then there are also these these uh, debated questions. What are the consequences of this treatment or that treatment or this response? You know, someone says, I'm in the wrong body. How do you respond? At what age? At age 10, with chemicals and so on and so on? Well, there are issues of science and research and so on, and there's the ethical issue of what ought I to do. For someone who loves God, it's a question of what is our Father's loving, merciful, beneficent will for us, gracious, acceptable, and perfect. What is that will? Well, there's an ethical question there, and a moral question, and decision to be worked on. And here's where I think it's so easy to release something. If if we if we assume that there's a moral and ethical decision to be made, and that's different from the question of, is each person infinitely lovable, infinitely to be respected as a child of God, profoundly respected. And there are ethical questions. And to make the spiritual affirmation doesn't automatically decide the ethical question. So if we distinguish these two realms of affirmation and inquiry, then all of a sudden we've got a whole new space in which to talk about these disputed topics. All good to you today and always.